Hello, and welcome to Sutton Impact Family Style episode 313. That's a lot of episodes. I'm Jason.
It is a lot of episodes. I'm Bill, and I'll start off talking about the Masters.
Yeah.
I did catch myself rooting against the Live guys.
Okay.
I just did. And I was rooting for... I like John Rahm. I think he's a really good guy. He's a really good golfer.
Clearly.
I was rooting for Victor Hovland because he went to Oklahoma State. And I was rooting for Jordan Spieth because there's nobody on the golf course that acts like he's playing with his friends, like he's by himself on the weekend.
Yeah.
That just is talking to himself and yelling at himself and being pissed off when he makes a bad shot. I like how animated he is.
Okay.
Because he doesn't come across that he would be animated, but he is.
Right, I get that. Yeah, definitely.
But I was happy John Rahm won. But today, I had missed this live, but everybody's talking about this when Jim Nantz zinged the Live Tour by saying, Bruce Koepka hit a shot, and it landed on a part of the course that people walk across, so you get a drop from it. And Jim Nantz had called the shot before people saw it. He goes, ooh, that landed right in the CW. And then he paused. He goes, CW, crosswalk. And it was a real shot at Liv's TV, contract.
Yeah.
Which rightfully so. I mean, when they negotiated that contract, you would have thought it was CBS, ABC, NBC, and ESPN combined. That it was going to be such a great contract, but it's the CW.
Yeah.
Who's going to watch golf on the CW?
I mean, typically CW is, good old teen shows and Supernatural and Dawson's Creek and all that.
Supernatural, Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yeah.
Dawson's Creek, that's what it is. And so is that where people are going to go looking for a golf tournament? So anyhow, I thought it was pretty funny. And the fact that Jim Nantz said it, a lot of people will take notice.
Yeah.
But at the same time today, I'm hearing rumors that the PGA is amenable to sitting down, the PGA Tour is amenable to sitting down with Live Golf if two conditions are met. One, Greg Norman is out, and two, that Live drops the lawsuit, which kind of looks like that's going to happen anyhow.
Yeah.
And Live Golf could pay off Greg Norman and just fulfill his contract and get him out of there. He's too, for somebody that was made by the PGA Tour, he's kind of interesting in that he's this kind of a guy, and he's not come across well at all. And so I can see why nobody wants to sit down with him. He's alienated a lot of people. But I would like to see them work it out.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'll give Live Golf credit for is some of the changes we saw on the PGA Tour. It's very similar to when the ABA and the NBA were going head-to-head, and the ABA had the three-point line and all that kind of things, and they end up in the NBA. And then when the World Football League came along and they had a two-point conversion, they used to call it the action point. A lot of changes came about, moving the goalpost. Dude, a lot of these things that a rival league comes up with are good for the game, and you have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that maybe you were thinking about this, or you said you were thinking about it, but maybe this is the impetus to get it changed.
Very true. With Sky Judge, it's coming eventually.
Yep. But kudos to John Rahm for winning the Masters. And it was kind of exciting because Koepka was minus 13 when it started on Sunday. And he ended up losing 5 strokes. And Rahm was back and he ended up catching him. So pretty good. And Rahm's a great golfer. I mean, for somebody that big to have the touch that he has, it was impressive.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that.
Well, definitely.
Then we had, in the NBA, we had as much fisticuffs as we did on MMA, right?
Sadly, yeah. Very sadly, yes. I mean, that trade every day gets worse and worse for that team, right?
Yeah. I mean, why didn't I see him say when he made it?
No.
Talking about Rudy Gobert going to Timberwolves.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand the trade when he made it. Other than Karl Anthony Towns not wanting to be a center and you wanting to have a center. But change your whole team because now you've got a center that, and you got a 7-foot power forward.
Exactly. And technically, you had him already on you had a center already on your team who you traded away, who Walker Kessler, who you couldn't get Walker Kessler back for Rudy Gobert today, right?
No. Well, yeah,
Like,
you could if you ate a bunch of Rudy Gobert's salary.
yeah, because not only do they get all those picks, and we're kind of seeing it. We can sort of lump these two together because they sort of remind me of the same thing. But you had Karl Anthony Towns, and then you get Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards was clearly going to be your future, right?
Right.
But he's 21 right now, and he shows. I mean, especially after the fight came out, for him to play as hard as he did and continue that game, but like he's still very raw. He's still probably 2 or 3 years away from being like a Western Conference championship style player. And you rushed it. You didn't need Rudy Gobert, but you also you threw all these chips in, and your star player wasn't ready to be the star player. And you look at Dallas right now. You gave up a first round pick for why can't I remember his name? Christian Woods, not Robert Woods. Robert Woods is good. Christian Woods. He's going to leave this year. You gave up another first round pick for Kyrie. And
Yeah.
you may or may not have him, and you may or may not want him. You let Jalen Brunson walk, who's an All-NBA player now, at least first team or second, third team or whatever it is. And now you've got an unhappy Luka Doncic. So,
Yeah.
and again,
you blatantly tanked it.
yeah. Oh, that was...
So I think the NBA should whatever draft pick they get, they should have to forfeit it. It should go to whoever was going to get screwed in the trade. Screwed if they, who owns the pick.
The Knicks.
The Knicks should get the pick then.
Yeah, I think that's a good punishment.
It's a Porzingis trade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Knicks should get the pick wherever it is. Top 10 or top 10 protected, whatever it is, they should lose it.
Yeah, because they weren't even subtle. I mean, we're tanking because we don't want to lose the pick. I mean, they flat out said it. But yeah, those two teams, you look at them right now, and the Timberwolves are about to play the Lakers. Rudy Gobert is suspended. Who's that? Their other player punched a wall. The rookie who was really good. Broke his hand. Yeah. So now you're playing this, Austin Reeves / LeBron led Lakers team, and it's looking real good for the Lakers, right?
The Lakers are going to win that first one. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And the Clippers are looking good, and Russell Westbrook has looked better than he's looked in 2 years.
Yeah. I'm rooting really hard for the Clippers. I don't see that. They don't think they have any shot of beating the Phoenix Suns. But, especially with Paul George probably not going to be there.
Yeah.
But I'm still rooting hard for them. Congratulations to both the Pelicans, and most importantly, congratulations to Oklahoma City Thunder. They won 40 games this year, and they're in the play-in.
Hard to believe.
And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
They've got a bazillion draft picks.
And you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You have Walker, who's a Rookie of the Year candidate. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is probably going to finish 5th in MVP voting.
And who's the guy from Australia?
Oh, Giddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And next year you get back, the big fella. Your rookie top 3 pick from a year before.
Yeah.
And that's...
They've had an unbelievable year.
They have. Well, like I said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right now is... I've heard he might come in 5th in the MVP voting. And I think if you're the best player on the Oklahoma City team and you lead that team to 40 wins, I think you probably deserve to be that high. And he's outstanding.
I agree. He's had a great year.
And like I said, you get the big kid from Gonzaga back next year. You have all these draft picks. They're sitting pretty. And then we can go back and forth, but I think one thing that happened in the collective bargaining agreement was it's not a hard cap. And they've got 2 years to get through it. But it sounds like with this new double tax thing, that it's going to be harder for stars to leave and get paid as much money, it seems like, right?
Well, I think what it's designed to do is to prevent stars from banding together to go to a team.
Yeah.
And so you can buy one of them, but you can't buy 2, and there's no way you could buy 3.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing.
And I think it's a good rule.
I think it's a great rule. That's one of the ones when I saw that and I was like, I think overall this is the best thing for the teams and the best thing for the leagues, even though the players don't see it in the short run. Yeah, and you don't have fans, you don't have a league. So Incredibly important. Um, so in the East, you got the Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Toronto Raptors, and Bulls in the play-in games. Do you like any of those teams?
You know what? I probably like the Heat just because they've been there
Yeah.
and they haven't performed up to expectations this year.
No.
But they're the Heat. It's the postseason. They're well coached. They've got a good roster. And Jimmy Buckets goes off in May.
He does. I think that's everybody is like, because I know I listen to Bill Simmons from time to time, and he said he's scared of the Heat because if the Heat win, I think they play the Celtics in the first round. And he knows that the 57 win, second best record in the NBA, Boston Celtics should take care of anybody from play-in game. But the Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat still scare him as a fan.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Hawks.
Jimmy Buckets is a great post. He's a good in-season player. He's a great postseason player.
He is.
He has that ability to put the team on his back and not lose when he doesn't want to lose. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Buckets.
And I think, Eric Spoelstra and that organization are so well put together, so well coached. And, when you talk Heat culture, the Heat have a culture. So that would be your fear.
Yeah.
Are there any, just right now, are there any teams you think should be round one based on the way things are playing out, should be an upset alert? I mean, does Golden State being the 6th seed beat Sacramento, does that count as an upset?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I know Liga technically. I think in Vegas, Golden State's favored. I think Memphis, if they end up having to play the Lakers without Steven Adams on their team.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. That's a really sad that he couldn't come back and play. Because I really like that team with Steven Adams.
Because Triple J is very good, but Anthony Davis, and again, we always say the caveat, I don't think you can even legally say Anthony Davis if he's healthy. I think that's just his name now. But he's so good at drawing fouls. Triple J might play 7 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I definitely see the Lakers advancing. I definitely see Golden State advancing.
Yeah.
And I definitely see Phoenix advancing.
And Denver should be able to beat although the Pelicans are a scary team too in a weird way. Assuming they get by the Thunder. Because the Pelicans have a little bit, I don't know what you would call it, but, they're talented, right?
They're talented except in the GM office because they got too much money committed to Zion.
Yeah.
Who doesn't see nearly enough. I mean, Zion's nickname should be Hot Tub. I mean, he's not been on the court.
No.
And you got a lot of resources tied up there.
Yeah, and he's a scary because it's just when he's on the court, he's automatically like a top 15, top 10 player in the NBA if you look at his numbers. But in his 5 seasons at this point?
He can't stay on the court. That's the issue.
I think he's been on the court less than 50% of the games, which makes Anthony...
I think that's accurate.
And that makes Anthony Davis seem like the picture of health, which, that says a lot.
No, it's a shame.
Yeah, in the East, I mean, Cavs-Knicks, I'm very excited to watch that series.
That's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that because I think Brunson and Mitchell, I think are kind of built in that same mentality. I think the Cavs are a better team. I think they have better players, but I'm excited to watch that matchup.
I think that could be the best early matchup.
Oh, I think without a doubt. I mean, I think Milwaukee should shred whoever they get. I know we said the Heat are scary, but Boston should take care of business. And as nice as it is to see Mikal Bridges playing well and looking like a superstar, there's no reason Philly should just roll through that team. That should be a sweep, right? Philly, Brooklyn. Or at least a 4-1, a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I think a gentleman's sweep. I think a 4-1. But I think Mikal Bridges would get my vote for most improved player. But he really didn't improve. He got to a team where he could be a focal point.
Yeah. And I mean, because I think, like you said, between Bridges and Cam Thomas, who has frequently put up 40 or more points this year, they could handle Philly at least one game. And the irony is, you know who would really be helpful on this team facing the Philadelphia 76ers? A 6'10" defensive player who's a good guard. Playing against his old team, looking for revenge. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
But that guy's home because he apparently doesn't like basketball. The other Ben Simmons. Just,
Well, you know what? I've had a lot of time to reflect on this, and I think the Nets-Suns trade will go down as one of the best trades to benefit both teams that I've seen.
It is, yeah. But like I said, if you had 3 years ago Ben Simmons on this Brooklyn Nets team going against Philadelphia, like, you know, Philadelphia would have something to be nervous about. But the Ben Simmons we've seen for 3 seasons is terrible, so it's not going to happen, and he's not playing. But
not happening.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
Not happening at all. Looking forward to, I'm going to probably watch a little bit of WNBA draft tonight to see if this momentum continues with all the interest in women's basketball. See what the ratings are tonight. Some interesting players coming out. I know Aaliyah Boston's going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But if the other two that have to come back, Caitlin Clark and Reese were both eligible.
Yeah.
I think Aaliyah Boston would be number 3.
I think so too. Now, just so we're clear, and this is for me and the listeners, to go on the WNBA draft, you have to have 4 years of college eligibility gone, right? You can't come in early, right?
I don't know if it's 4-3.
Okay.
But in any case, Clark's a junior, so she hasn't completed her 3rd year.
Yeah.
And she has a coach. Well, she completed the 3rd year. I don't. That's your question. I don't know exactly what it is. But Clark's ineligible, and Reese is a sophomore.
Yeah, she's got a little time left. Yeah, for sure.
But those 2 players would be, it's shaping up like Magic and Bird.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to be, a lot of their games are going to be on TV next year. They're going to be billing it and trying to get that rematch.
And as we talked about offline, Reese got spoofed in a very positive light on Saturday Night Live this week, which I think shows you again how big that game was and how big that player is right now, right?
Oh, it was tremendous. Punky Johnson did a phenomenal job on the Weekend Update segment. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube or go to the SNL app and download it and watch it. And she did a great job. Great job.
But again, I mean, how often is college basketball ever referenced, period, let alone on Saturday Night Live? So that's pretty, it's... I know Saturday Night Live's not...
College basketball, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, not just big baller.
Yeah, it's been a while, so it was, it was... And again, it was a lovely spoof. Like, it wasn't making fun of it. It was a nice one, so...
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I would not be surprised if I was Saturday Night Live, I might invite both of those 2 to come in and co-host.
Or at least just pop in a segment, right?
Yeah, I think they'd be funny.
Yeah,
I think people would watch it. And I think it'd be good for the women's game.
Yeah. Well, we got a little NFL news today. Something exciting happened, right? Depending on your thought process on OBJ. He's a Baltimore Raven.
OBJ signs a 1-year, $15 million guaranteed. It could be $18 million with the Ravens.
Yeah. And Lamar Jackson he and Odell had some exchange online that seemed like one of those like, what's up kind of, little situation.
And you would think that he wouldn't have signed that deal unless he knew Lamar was coming back.
Yeah.
Because his other alternative was Aaron Rodgers.
Correct.
And so he was going to go play with a great quarterback. And so he made his choice. And you got to think he's coming back. So I look for some movement there before the draft to get the deal done.
Yeah, and as people, we talked about on the show, we won't go into it again, but I mean, the Ravens have a right to match, and they want Lamar as their quarterback. They haven't brought in anybody else. So it seems like this is just a matter of being done. And someone said that, I forget who this morning on ESPN basically pointed out that one of the things Lamar Jackson had been complaining about was a lack of wide receiver help. And you went out and got the best free agent potentially, like I know he's 30 or 31 right now, but Odell's probably got 2 more really good years in him,
If again, he stays healthy.
Yeah. And who knows, if D-Hop gets cut, which somehow might actually happen, because the Cardinals don't want to pay him and can't afford to pay him, maybe Lamar Jackson is throwing to DeAndre Hopkins on one side and Odell Beckham on the other, and then running the ball with DK Jobbins in the middle. I mean...
Yeah, but if he had both of those 2 guys, There's no way they can get under the cap and pay Lamar.
No, probably not. Although the Saints, my hometown team, I'm a Steeler fan, but I live in New Orleans now. They seemingly spend more money than every team in the league every single year in free agency, and they somehow, I don't know how they do their cap numbers, but we are a very corrupt city down here, so maybe they figured it out. It's pretty cool.
Maybe so.
Yeah. I guess our shout out to O'Neill Cruz.
Yeah, O'Neill Cruz, going on contact, ground ball to third baseman, throws home. You're dead. You're dead to rights. But he said, I would probably just give it myself up. I think he was in between trying to give himself up or getting a run down or slide, and you can't be in the middle of those three options. So he slid late and went right in the catcher, busted his ankle. And so he's probably out 4 months.
Yeah, the story I just
is the season.
Yeah, it said 4 months, but they might as well just say the season because if you miss, it's already April. If you miss May, June, July, August, like it's hard to imagine you would want to play in September. You even be ready, let alone I would think you wouldn't
I wouldn't want to bring him back.
No, I would think maybe some winter ball, maybe just to get some at bats, but maybe not even wait till spring training and just rehab and build that ankle back up.
Yeah, but a real shame.
Very much so.
Pirates are 6-3, best start they've had in 7 or 8 years.
Now,
and he's a big part of it. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I know they're pointless power rankings because unless it's college football and college basketball, power rankings don't really mean anything. But the Pirates were in the top 10 power ranking this week.
For the first time, probably in at least 10 years.
Yeah, which I saw that and I was just like, wait, is this a meme? No, it's real.
Another shout out baseball, though. The Angels switched their cowboy hat after a home run to a samurai helmet. And it looks really, really cool.
Yes, it does.
So I know they're doing everything they can to keep Ohtani. So that was probably just a little touch. But it's a cool touch. I liked it. And the fans liked it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we keep the fans happy, and it seems like the pitch clock's a pretty positive thing overall, right, so far?
Yeah, except, you know the controversy is, Jack?
Where
they put the pitch clocks. It would make sense to have it in the pitcher's line of vision, wouldn't it?
I would think so, yeah. That seems to be obvious.
They don't. They have it almost, the pitcher would have to turn and look sideways because it's over by the dugout, and that's where MLB decided it needed to be. But mark my words, sometime between now and Memorial Day, they're going to move all those pitch clocks to where they should be.
Yeah, that seems really obvious.
Doesn't it, though? Sometimes you just wonder who makes these decisions.
And you would think, and I know it's not exactly like a last-second shot, but if you have that, they sometimes have that behind the pitcher cam. And if in the corner, where the pitcher, it's not too distracting for the pitcher, but maybe it's a few feet to the left of the catcher, if you're seeing it, as he's winding up, and it'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah, but they got to, I love the pitch clock. They got to get it right. They got to move it so that the pitcher knows where it is.
Yeah,
Got to have it.
Again, it seems obvious, but.
And you know what? Put one in center field for the batter.
Yeah.
And put one off behind the catcher somehow to the left or right of the catcher for the pitcher. And that's all you need to do.
Yeah. It seems really, really simple, but you never know.
Doesn't it though? It seems simple, but sometimes it's just not.
Yeah. That almost seems like probably the people in the stadium were setting it up that way. And then and the boss came down and was like, no. And they're like, wait, what? But, no. Okay, cool.
So what are we, 18 days from the draft? Is the draft the 28th?
Is it the 28th? Yeah, I think so. Or the 27th. It's right around there.
I think it's the 27th. 27th's a Thursday.
Yes.
So it's on a Thursday night, right?
So it's 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, it's a 4-day, or 3-day, 4-day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I've seen that a lot of teams are trying to trade to that number 3 spot with the Cardinals. And you got to assume that's for Anthony Richardson.
You know what? I like all the talk about the Tennessee quarterback that got hurt.
Hayden Hooker? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
there's no doubt in my mind that when he got hurt, he was the best quarterback in college football.
No doubt. The only problem with him is much like Kenny Pickett and Will Levis, he is older, and the NFL does not like the older prospects. But in our dream scenario, this will be our Steeler moment as we can start having those again. all four of those quarterbacks plus Hayden Hooker go in the first round before pick 17. That's an ideal Steeler draft.
That is an ideal Steeler draft. And that could definitely happen.
It could definitely happen because you got the Raiders, you got the Titans, you got a bunch of QB needy teams. You never know what the Seahawks are going to do because, like they said, they've got 2 picks. And Geno Smith played great last year, but maybe you want to bring in the guy of the future when you have a really high pick.
See, I think that's a great spot for either Anthony Richardson or Hayden Hooker.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Seattle, they don't have to play this year. You get to learn from Geno Smith, whose style of play is not a lot different than those two. I think it's perfect that you take one of those 2 guys.
Yeah. But again, our Steeler moment is those 5 quarterbacks go. And then we need like the one wild card player. And if somehow, it doesn't sound like it's possible because apparently Jackson Smith and Jigba is the only wide receiver with a first round grade from like 90% of the NFL teams right now. But then 2 wide receivers go. And then one of those cornerbacks or big tackles slips down to the Steelers at 17.
Well, the last couple mocks I've had is they get the offensive tackle from Georgia.
Yeah, I like the kid from Tennessee, the kid from Georgia, Northwestern, Ohio State. Like, you can't go wrong. Any of those 4 would be fantastic in Pittsburgh.
And I'm excited because I've seen Jack Campbell go into the Steelers in the 3rd round.
I have heard from I've read it. I read a lot, Dad. We don't want Jack Campbell. We've had 5 Jack Campbells in the last 5 years. We don't need another one.
I'm sorry. I like Jack Campbell. They said he's not a big play guy, but he's a steady guy that shuts down the run and does what he's supposed to do. He's not going to be the guy that gets a lot of sacks and different things. But you need someone who's going to stop the run up the middle, and that's what he does. Right,
but they also said that he has no idea what's ever happening behind him, and he's a liability in pass coverage, which has killed the Steelers in the last few years. I don't want any part of Jack Campbell. They said if it was 1950, you'd take him in the top 3.
You and I are totally on opposite ends of the spectrum on this one. We'll see what happens.
We are, yes. I mean, I just hope whoever like I said, I need to think in the first 4 picks, they need 3 starter to heavy contributor players on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I have entertainment for you, Dad.
Okay, go.
It's an incredibly well done documentary. If you have Showtime, Camille L. Bell made a documentary called "We Need to Talk About Cosby," and it shows you pretty much the entire history of everything Cosby. Has a lot of people talking about their interaction with him. It talks about his place in history, going back to I Spy, all the money he donated to colleges, along with all the terrible stuff he did. It sort of lays it out and puts you in that weird position of can you separate the art from the art? And it seemed like, most people can't. But they show you clips of picture pages and I Spy, and they show you clips of the Cosby Show, and you realize just how, that was a great show.
Yeah, it was.
And it's a shame, but it's really well done. And I think people will enjoy it.
I remember going to see him in concert in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
I remember buying his albums, his comedy albums, Why Is There Air? Where he does this whole bit about Noah and the Ark. It's a tremendous bit.
And
he was a funny guy, real creative.
Yeah.
But obviously had a sinister side to him.
But they talk about, he insisted, up until on I Spy, they were painting white stuntmen black to play black actor, to be stunt for black people. And he started, he was able to get an entire union of black stuntmen, black camera people. He's a very hard person. You look, it's not like R. Kelly, who was just a pop star but did terrible things. He did a ton of good for all the terrible things he did.
Yes, he did. And it gets lost.
But like I said, when you watch other parts,
you can't give him a pass.
No.
He did all the good things for the bad things he did.
No, you never can, and you never know his motivations for what he did. Like I said, it just shows you. It's a really well done documentary. You see everything, and you hear from the victims, and it's pretty crazy. And because they got on that technicality, the documentary was being filmed during that time, so you get the entire Cosby story. So I think it's really well done and worth watching. Yeah, and it's on Showtime right now. So
okay,
for sure, it might be other places, but I know for sure it's on Showtime. I like telling people where they can watch it.
Anything else on entertainment?
I did watch Beef on Netflix, which is getting a lot of buzz. As I told you offline, it's not going to be a show for everybody. there is some character growth and there's some very nice moments, but it is sort of not great people doing not great things. And, that comes, I read a few online comments before I came on the podcast just to sort of gauge the interest. And, people that love it. And a lot of people said they couldn't sit through it. So take it with a grain of salt. But it's on Netflix. Episodes are like 40 minutes long. And you should at least watch the pilot, see what you think, and then move on from there. But it's really well done. It's beautifully acted, wonderfully shot. So.
Okay. I've been watching Grantchester on Apple TV. It's from the BBC, which, you and I are both BBC fans.
Yes.
And Grantchester is set in the 1950s and deals with a lot of the problems we have today. You see the historical underpinnings, of dealing with a clergyman being gay and spousal abuse. And so you see all this stuff in the 50s. And it's kind of interesting to see how they deal with it.
Okay.
The only thing I say is it's kind of like in this one town, how can you have this one small town that's just gorgeously portrayed? And we went online to look at the town. Yeah. And it's all shot there. It's definitely on my places list that I want to go to.
Okay.
It's outside of Cambridge. The town is called Grantchester, and it's a little town outside of Cambridge, England. And the scenery and shooting is just fantastic. But it's a real enjoyable. It's like 7 years of it. We're in the third season. We're going to watch the last episode of the third season tonight. And it's riveting. I mean, we watch 2 or 3 episodes every night. So I give that a big kudos.
Okay. And I have a food moment that, again, is a Costco food moment for everybody.
And that's 2 in 3 weeks.
It's 2 in 3 weeks. Well, part of it is when you go to Costco, you buy a bunch of stuff, so it takes you a while to try everything, right?
Right.
So I'll give you the full rundown. You and I are giant chicken wing fans.
Yep.
And frozen wings are typically not very good. I think it's fair to say.
Pre-air fryer, though.
Yeah, pre-air fryer. But also, sometimes the quality isn't there. But we bought Foster Farms takeout crispy wings. You get 4 pounds for $23. And so that's, 4 pounds of wings is a lot of wings. You also get 4 sauces included. And they're not on the wings. So you put them in the air fryer. They're big, thick chicken wings. And the chicken tastes like good quality chicken. In the air fryer, they get really crispy. And then you got the buffalo sauce that comes with it in these little packets. And you just take the packet, put it in hot water while you're cooking the wings. It defrosts. And then you pour it on top. And they are really good. And I told you, and this is not hyperbole, I think they're as good as at least half the wings I've gotten out in my life.
That's impressive.
Like, they're not going to be, they're not going to compete with the Hanger or the James Joyce Pub or some of these incredible wing places. But, they're definitely better than like every pizza wing I've ever had. Which, typically just baked frozen wings anyway. You're paying double for. But they're really, really good quality. So, Foster Farms takeout crispy wings. I think they make a regular. I only tried the crispy. But again, and you look at the prices of delivery wings, 4 pounds for $23 is pretty good.
That's real good.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to try those.
Yeah. And I'll try to leave the house and get a food moment for next week at some point.
Well, I'm going to be in Columbia, South Carolina, so I will have numerous food moments for next week.
Okay. And then we should have a better understanding of it will be at least game 1, game 2, and most series in the playoffs at that point, which would be pretty exciting.
Should be really good.
And
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, there's some interesting matchups, and there's some teams that haven't been there for a while, like Sacramento. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And I am excited to watch Sacramento Golden State. I think, I know everybody thinks that, Andrew Wiggins is back, Gary Payton Jr. is back, and that team's just going to blow the doors off Sacramento. But I'll be interested to see. I think Sacramento.
If I was going to go place a bet, you know what I would bet on in that series?
Golden State in 6?
Nope, I'd bet Draymond technical foul first game.
Okay, yeah, I can see that for sure.
Because he's got to intimidate everybody early on.
It's true. But they have a Sabonis. You can't intimidate a Sabonis.
No, I like Sabonis. I thought they they benefited from that trade.
Both teams did. Halliburton looks great in Sacramento or in Indiana.
Indianapolis. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's sometimes what it is. I mean, you've got to. like the Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a solid contributor in Phoenix. He's a star in New Jersey.
Yeah, well, he was the third option, behind Booker and Chris Paul, you could argue, as far as getting the ball in his hands.
So,
And now,
and maybe nobody ever thought he was the first option or second option, but he really is.
yeah. Yeah, Brooklyn, surprisingly.
One last thing I want to throw out.
Okay.
My good friend Dan Gosser, whenever he's crazy about a book,
Yeah.
his review is buy it, rent it, or steal it. And so he gave Mom and I a book review on a book called The Deep, Deep Snow.
Okay.
So check it out on Amazon or wherever. The Deep, Deep Snow. I can't remember the author right now, but whenever he says buy it, rent it, or steal it, it's usually a tremendous read.
I'm excited. I want to check it out now. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I guess we'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one.